Good afternoon, Rotarians.
Good afternoon.
Emil, will you please open us up in invocation?
Sure, let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the opportunity of gathering together again as Rotary Club of Lawrence. Bless this food to our bodies and this fellowship as well. And we thank you for all the blessings of life, and we thank you for everything, including those things that make us stop and rethink, make and better change. Bless this food to our bodies and be with us all. Amen.
Amen. Join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So now it's my favorite time, even though I actually got here early today and finished eating. It's usually my favorite time because I get to eat Rita. So, but it's my honor to introduce Rita Yarborough. She has been a member of the Rotary Club of Newberry since 2000, and she was actually president for only 1 year in 2007, 2008. I know, Scott and I are kind of wondering how they get away with that. It must be across the county line. She was assistant, we'll give her a pass on this though. She was assistant governor for 3 years and almost governor a few years ago. She's a Paul Harris Society district chair for the last 5 years. And her late husband and herself are both Paul Harris Society members, major donors level 2, benefactors and bequest society, partners in Literacy Haiti for 12 years, and 8 work trips to Haiti. Did you come present about that one time here? Okay, I thought, I'm trying to put connections together. She's also helped with polio immunizations in India, medical trips to Vietnam and Peru, clean water, and also helped build houses in Honduras. She's attended multiple Rotary International conventions around the world, and she's going to do our foundation program for the day. So if y'all will give it up for Miss Rita Yarborough.
Okay, thank you very much for having me here today. I'm just delighted always to present a program about literacy or foundation, because foundation is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So I thank you very much for that. And while he's getting set up here, thank you, yes, for Daniel for pronouncing my name correctly, because many times it's Yarborough instead of Yarborough. But I'm happy. I'm happy also that I have a granddaughter who's graduating, the second granddaughter who's graduating from Clemson tomorrow. Do we hear any Go Tigers here? Okay. And then I'm leaving on Saturday to go to West Palm Beach and have the granddaughter who graduated 5 years ago from Clemson. That's an engagement party on Sunday. So a lot of things that I have to be happy about. So let's talk a little bit about foundation. All of you know what foundation is. Many of us are able to do more for foundation than others, but I'm sure that all of you that are participating are very happy with what you're doing and what the money goes for. I often tell many people that it's one of the few places that we can say most of our money, 93% of the money that we give goes to the cause, not to administration. And a lot of places can't say that. So, yeah, did you get a little slideshow?
Yes, if I do that, for some reason, the other screen goes to your other screen. I don't know why.
Oh.
It actually makes it show up there, but then on the other screen it shows up as a second. Oh, there it went. You clicked the right button.
Okay.
You're good.
So I just need to.
Yes, ma'am. If you just want to click the mouse or your arrow, that should get you to the next slide.
Okay. Okay. First of all, I'm talking a little bit about polio. You know, the foundation is basically money, for the most part, goes either to annual fund share or to polio. So we didn't want to mention polio here. We've accomplished a lot since the 1980s with polio, and we hope that in a very, very few years that we will have it eradicated. And we have been the lead. I know that World Health Organization has been in there, the CDC has been there, and of course, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has helped us an awful lot. But billions of our dollars have gone into eradicating polio. 3 billion children have have received the polio vaccine. 19 million people are walking around who would be crawlers. And I did do polio immunization in India at one time, and I did see many crawlers. We don't see that in our country because we're more affluent and we can provide leg braces and wheelchairs and those kinds of things to help people, but they really are crawlers in those countries. 4+ years without a single case outside of Pakistan and Afghanistan, which are the 2 countries that we still have polio in. And of course, our polio money also helps with other immunizations also, like Ebola, measles, COVID, etc. Polio eradication. Our number 1 goal, of course, is to permanently stop the spread of polio. And secondly, then to continue to do that as long as there may be the wild virus out there that we can't stop. The timeline to do this. Our people now are thinking that by 2023, we're in 2022 now, 2023, we will have a year without any polio. This past year, since January, by the way, we've only had 3 cases of polio. 2 from Pakistan and 1 from Afghanistan. One of them that you might have heard that was in Africa, it was Malawi, Africa, but that child had actually come from Pakistan. So we credit 2 to Pakistan and 1 to Afghanistan. So if we can eradicate and have no cases in 2023, then we can declare that we have a polio-free world. Not only those 2 countries, but in the world. We all know what our money does. There's many causes that our money goes to. 7 avenues of service. You know that we had 6 avenues for how many years, and then I guess 2 years ago we added the 7th one. You can see those on the screen. All of us can go out and plant a tree if we would like to do that. Okay, as I mentioned before, the foundation is made up of basically two main parts that we give to. If we are Arch Clump Society members and we give $250,000 in our lifetime or all at once, then we would talk about endowment fund. But the annual fund, which is where all the matching grants come from, and that's what we're particularly interested in, is looking what helps us in our own clubs. And the more you give, the more comes back to your club. And of course, polio. And when you're giving your money, you can designate which way it wants to go. You can change it if you want to after doing it a year or so. But both counts toward recognition levels. It doesn't matter which way you give. We'll come back and talk about endowment fund in just a few minutes. I just put the slide in here to show you a little bit about what you're doing. It looks like you had a good year last year. You met all your goals, and you're well on your way to meeting the goals this year. I think $800 to meet the annual fund and $1,250 more to meet the polio. And the district, you can see what we're doing in the district, and I'm sure that we will meet the goals there. You notice that we've already met the goal for polio by about, $20,000, and the basic reason for that is we have had now for 2 years, I think, 2 years in a row, maybe 3, that Doug Hoffman, who is the polio chair, has matched all the money that we gave. Remember that back in the fall, in October, the month of October, I think it was, and that's the reason that we've done so well with polio, and I hope he continues to do that. Paul Harris Fellows, I think your club has, let's see, you have 46 members now, and you have 34 Paul Harris Fellows. That's wonderful, and I know that you've done matching points because, as I recall, I was telling Daniel, I remember about 6 or 8 years ago, I came and you had a meeting at a church, and you had done a matching point thing, and you made a lot of people, it was 10 or 12 people that year that became, at that one time, became Paul Harris Fellows. You could either become a Paul Harris Fellow by giving the money, the $1,000, or it can be some money and some points to get to be a Paul Harris Fellow. Multiple Paul Harris Fellows is every time you get to another 1,000, you get a +1, a different pen, and then +2, etc. Sustaining members, and I think you are 100% E-Ray in this club, if I remember correctly. Thank you. Thank you. Paul Harris Society, $1,000 a year. And we ask that the Paul Harris Society members give the $1,000 a year, every year, for as long as they're financially and physically able to do that. And you have 2 Paul Harris Society members in your club. Jim, you are Paul, thank you very much. And also Terry, who's not here today. I'm sorry she's not here. We've talked about her knee surgery and my shoulder replacement surgery. But thank you very much for what you do. When you put that $1,000 every year in, that helps your club tremendously. So thank you. Major donors is $10,000. Now to become a major donor, it has to be all money. You can't use the points. So for instance, if you get to 10,000, but 9,000 of it's money and 1,000 of it was points that you were given somewhere along the line, you still have to put in another $1,000 to become a major donor. And Arch Clump Society, we do have one in our district, and he has done quite a bit for us, and we're very thankful for him. Some of the club recognitions, I know that you have been a Paul Harris Fellow Club some years ago, and you're so close to doing that again. I hope that in the near future you will do it again. But once you have the banner, you always have the banner, so we don't go back on that. There are some 100% Paul Harris Society clubs in the world. And I once went to a club in India, and it was all ladies in the club, or it had been, and they were all Paul Harris Society members. I believe they were all major donors, if I remember correctly. And they finally broke down and let some men join the club because they needed some muscle to move tables and do things for their fundraisers. But they were very professional people, doctors and attorneys or whatever. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the endowment fund. Endowment fund is made up of the money that we'll give after our time here being on earth, or we can do it as we go along. We had in our club benefactor drive, I guess back in the fall, and we got 5 new benefactors, and one of them wrote the check for the $1,000 and gave it to us at that time. You can do that if you want to, or you can leave it to your spouse or partner or whatever to send. My husband passed away last June the 25th, and shortly after that, we were both benefactors. I sent his $1,000 to Rotary International. Bequest Society is $10,000 left in your will, and I decided to do that recently. I felt like Rotary needed it more than my children do. So, methods that you can give, any number of ways that you can give. You can leave it in your will, stocks, bonds, however you want to do that. We had a wonderful, was anyone on your club last Wednesday, a week ago, when Carl, the works directly for Rotary, spoke about leaving money and investing money and how it could help Rotary?
Not that I know of.
He did a wonderful talk, and I can't begin to tell you all the things. I made lots of notes about how investing money and giving money and doing annuities, where you give the Rotary money and then they pay your dues every year, that kind of thing. So there are lots of options. Okay, this is your club. You have, is that up to date? That with 46 members of your club?
That's probably pretty close. Yes, ma'am. 34
Paul Harris Fellows, 2 Paul Harris Society members, as we've just mentioned. Your all-time giving is $231,000. And yes, you were E-Ray. I thought I remembered seeing that somewhere the last 2 years, so I hope you continue to do that. If any of you have any questions as we go along, please stop and ask if it doesn't bother me. Sometimes you have a question, and I'll ask that at the end, and then you forget about it by the time somebody quits talking. Rotary Direct. I think you only have one person in your club that's doing Rotary Direct. but it's a very easy way to set it up. It's very easy to do. Your treasurer doesn't have to take the money, and you can do it, for instance, good many people do this with their Paul Harris Society $1,000 a year. I think it's $84, $85 a month, and you just tell Rotary to take it out of your bank account, and they do that, just like you do payments for your utilities or however you do that. So that's an easy way to do it. So if you haven't thought about that, it's a good way to do it. It helps you and it helps your treasurer, and your club, of course, gets credit for it. Paul Harris Society, we've already talked about that. I am the Paul Harris coordinator for this district, so if you have any other people that you would like to suggest, I often just send out emails to people and ask them. I can look at a list that I have that shows me where people have paid, and oh, they're not too far away from that, maybe they will. Sometimes they join, sometimes they don't, but you just have to keep asking. They can always say no. This is really important. We talked about the money that comes out of annual fund. That's where the money comes from for matching grants, and that's what we do on $10,000 or less type grants. But the important thing is where you are. You are at $150 right now per capita, and that determines how much money you can get back. As you see, the top 5 clubs are given up to $5,000 and more. My club, I don't know what your club did this year. Do you remember right off?
The amount?
The amount?
Yes, ma'am, it was $2,500, I'm pretty certain.
25, great, that's
Terry,
great.
Terry is the one who keeps us straight on that.
Good, good.
But it's for our backpack program.
Oh, wonderful. So you were able to do $5,000 worth with it then?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Our club got $6,000, and we have a new park in Newberry, and I just saw it for the first time. We had our meeting there last meeting time, and we spent the money to do some benches, a peace pole, some landscaping, and that kind of thing is what we did. And this coming year, we're going to do something with the food pantry in Newberry. Grants, to talk a little bit about that. They're very easy, they're very simple. If you have a person that is a grant writer or knows how to write grants, that's one of the secrets to it. Make it short, make it concise, but say exactly what you want to do, and ask for the money. Ask for the money. Like I say, you may be in that top tier and you get more than you actually ask for. They have to be in by April the 30th, and so I'm sure your second-term president here has already addressed that for next year, and that's very important. The important is to get it in on time, and then it's important to report it on time. If you don't report it on time, it not only holds up you're getting money for the next year, but it can also hold up grants for all the clubs. So it's very, very important. I'm sure I see Michael shaking his head, he knows. And trying to get people, because last year we had a hard time getting, and finally Bill Harley came back and called me and said, you know, they haven't reported your grant yet, can you help me out and do something about it? But choose a project. Some of the good projects are literacy, which you're doing always, and you've done a literacy project always, I think, here. Parks and playgrounds, those are good things to do. Food pantry and backpacks, those are all good things to do. These are some of the deadlines and targets, probably not a whole lot of interest to anyone except Matt here, that needs to keep up with that, and Terry, to be sure that you get the grant in on time for the next year, and then you finish it on time next March 31st, so that you can do the one for the next year. Global grants. I'm not sure that, has your club ever participated with a global grant that you know of?
We've discussed it for this coming year if we have a potential, if pieces can come together.
Right. most clubs aren't big enough to do a global grant. Global grants are $30,000 and more, and they can be consecutive years. You can get $30,000 this year, $30,000 another year, and so forth. But you can also help out a club that's doing it. And sometimes multiple clubs, 2, 3, 4, 5 clubs have gone together to help out. And these are some of the places that we have water projects. Honduras, Al Steele is in charge of these. He's done water projects in Copan, Marcala, and Olanchita for many, many years now. 10, 12, maybe 15 years, I'm not sure, but he's great, and he does many projects, wonderful projects. I've been with him to Honduras. Haiti projects in the goat farm, that is a multiple one. He's doing it, I believe, for 3 years. I think that's correct. Breeding goats, giving them to families that don't know how to sustain themselves. They don't know how to grow crops. They don't know how to grow food for themselves. And Charles Warren from the Greenville Club has done wonderful work with that, along with his wife, who has built the tech school in Haiti. Guatemala Water and Sanitation, that was Gary Goforth. I'm sure all of you remember him when he was in our district. He is still in charge of that project. He's at the E-Club of Carolinas now. And the Ethiopia one, that one has been around for a few years as well.
Michael, didn't we do Haiti?
We helped with some things with Haiti projects. We've also helped with some of Al's projects in Honduras.
The water, we did water one year.
Yeah.
Was that through there?
We've contributed money. I don't know
Right.
if any. Tim, did you know? No.
We talked about sending someone to Haiti,
yeah.
but I don't know that anybody ever actually went.
I was trying to go to Haiti and it just kept falling through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been a good time to travel in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I work with Partners in Literacy Haiti, and I've spoken about that here. I think you remembered that, that I had been here and spoken about that. We have not gotten a matching grant from Rotary, but we have gotten some other grants, and we do work, and we are part of this district, and we report to them what we're doing there, but it's a literacy project. I could talk all day about that because the people there are starving. It's the poorest. I've been in a lot of countries in the world, but it's very, very poor. To see malnourished children with the red hair, the bloated little bodies, stomachs, and the little tiny limbs aren't but that big. But a lot has been done in the last 10 years or so that we're going there. I would highly suggest that you make Rotary your choice of charities, and I'm sure all of you know that. It certainly is mine. After giving to my church, Rotary gets money next, and sometimes other things do, but sometimes if you spread your money, I have a friend, and she gives to everything that comes along, $25, $50, $100, and it's so spread out that it really probably doesn't make a whole lot of difference to any one of the entities that she's giving it to. So I suggest that you bundle your money and give it more to Rotary. These are the people in the district that you can contact, and I'm sure most all of you know Beth Padgett was our governor just a year ago, and she has taken over from Lorraine Angelino to be our district. Lorraine moved up to do a zone job, doing the same thing in the zone, and Beth is now doing the foundation, and she's very, very good. Annual fund is in charge there is Joyce Morin, and she will be our governor come July this year. Endowment fund is Renee Stubbs, and she's from my club and will be the governor right after Joyce. Paul Harris chair, of course, is myself. Polio chair, Doug Kaufman. I just can't say enough about Doug. He not only advocates and speaks to clubs and asks you to give to polio, but he matched, up to a certain point, and we went above that, and I can't remember what that goal was last year. I can't remember, but anyway, we went over that, and he matched up to what we had gone over as well. So he and Sally, his wife, are phenomenal people and belong to the Greenwood Club. District grants, all of you should be aware of Bill Harley's name. He's been doing that for years, and he is super, super good about at doing that. And he will certainly call you if you don't get your grant in on time, which is good. Because like I say, it's not only holding your club up from getting another grant the next year, but all the clubs. And Global Grants is Ben Ficklin, and he has been a partner to Al Steele And as you know, or may not know, he's gone for many, many years to Honduras and done water projects, and he's taken that over from Gary Goforth. So, with that, any questions? I'll try to answer. If not, I can find somebody that can answer if I can't answer it. But I'd just like to leave you with the thought that there's no better place, and I'm sure you all, I'm preaching to the choir here, right, Daniel, when I say give your money to Rotary. I don't know of anything where the money goes that's more worthwhile than what we do in the Rotary. When we can say 93% of the money that we give, and Michael, I'm sure you advocated that when you were assistant governor as well, goes to that project. Only 7%, and before 2008, 100% of our money went to the project. And it was set up so many long years ago, and I can't remember the year now, 1920, was that right, by Arch Clump? And he invested money, he made money so that every year when you put the money in, it's invested for 3 years, and then whatever you put in, half of that comes back to our district for grants. If our district gave $500,000 this year, which that's probably twice as much as we're going to give, then that's invested, and 3 years from now we would get back $250,000 that would go to all 52 clubs in this district to do grants with. So the more we give, the more we get back. Any other questions? Thank you so much, and if you do have questions later, you can always email me. You can find my name in there. I've made a club recognition summary. I don't know if the foundation
We actually
has that or not, but
didn't put this out here publicly, it's not supposed to, but we actually
Exactly.
talked about opportunities for those to be recognized as Paul Harris Fellows, and a couple of people did take advantage of that. If that's something that any of y'all are interested in, we certainly would be more than willing to work with that in regards to donations versus points versus et cetera, and trying to get everyone to that next level for sure. Thank you, Rita, for sharing all of that great information and just reminding us. One thing that stood out to me is that if we're at 150 per capita at this point, that's only $25 more per person. If everyone in our club gave, then we would actually double the amount of grant that we would qualify for. So kind of just think about that
good observation.
when you are giving before the end of this month, right?
June.
The end of June. Okay. So that coming up. And if you have questions about that, or don't know how to do it online, or you'd like to do something individually, any of us can help you with that. Contact me or Will. So I do have a couple other announcements that were given to me. Just a reminder, next week we're doing Rotary Top 10. So we will be at the museum. So we'll be on the other side of the square. Same time, just make sure that you come to the museum. We do need about 3 to 4 people to help give out food, like help serve. So if a couple people wouldn't mind just reaching out to me, that would be good, so I can put your name down and be willing to help serve that food. You still get to eat at the regular time. You're just serving someone else. Okay?
Service above self, right?
That's right. Service above self. Thank you, those of you who signed up on the sheet. If you're still not 100% sure, at a minimum, just come out and buy a plate or two, and maybe you'll stick around and end up enjoying yourself. And Daniel might hand you the tongs in regards to being able to cook a couple of hot dogs and bratwurst. All right, let's stand and give our 4-way test in our motto.
So close.
Is it the truth?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
And our motto,
Service above self.
Serve to change lives, Rotarians.